celebrations and outfits.
I was excellent in that. You can put that in my Emmy tape.
Nice.
Fortnite.
Moving on to big news out of the NFL. All right, Coach, Des Bryant found himself a job, but it's a good one. It's with the New Orleans Saints, the Saints team riding a 7-game win streak with Super Bowl aspirations and one of the best quarterbacks in the game. I'd take that job, too. Des has been unemployed since April when the Cowboys released him. There's a reason so few teams have shown interest in the wide receiver. Some would call it team chemistry. Here's Drew Brees on the current state of the Saints locker room.
I think this locker room is one of the best locker rooms I've ever been a part of, as far as the type of character and type of leadership and that kind of thing. So I think as many, if you talk to free agents and guys that, have come here over the past couple off seasons, I think they would be the first ones to tell you that, that has a lot to do with, I think, the reason why, we are successful and we've been able to build the culture that we have. I think everyone complements one another. I think we all want to win, and so at the end of the day, if we can bring somebody in here who can help us win, then that's great.
Of course, the flip side to that, Coach, is don't fix what ain't broke. Right now, the Saints ain't broke. But do you have any concern, Coach, with Des fitting into the Saints locker room?
No concern at all. Here's the situation now. I don't think they paid him very much. So if he comes in and he's disruptive, they move on from him. It's a little bit like a mid-season lottery ticket. It's in his best interest to fit in, to find a way to be productive, to put himself in a position this next offseason to go get all the money that he lost over the first 8 games by not taking the Baltimore contract. But the only way he does that is if he gets on the field. The only way he gets on the field is if he learns the offense, if he develops some sort of chemistry with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and that's going to take him being a part of the system. As soon as he steps out of line, they can move on from him. There's no money invested in this. This is the polar opposite of Odell. Polar opposite. He has no leverage, and he has everything on the line. He has everything to lose. And for the Saints, if he gives them an upgrade, great.
And it's the polar opposite of what goes on in New York as far as Drew Brees, Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis. They're not having that in New Orleans. Like, they're not having that in their locker room. Like, they've created a culture. It just didn't change 6 months ago, 6 weeks ago. They've been doing this in their locker room in New Orleans for a long time. If you're talking about destinations in the NFL, if you're an offensive player, Sean Payton, New Orleans, perfect conditions, crowd there. I mean, yes, they've been a destination in the last 10 years. So it just happens. They got plenty of players there that had questionable character and everything before they got there. But there's a culture there. When Des gets there with Michael Thomas, he's going to be shocked how hard Michael Thomas worked. Marshawn Lattimore, I know this, through Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, talking to Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland, who runs their personnel department. They were going to blows this year in training camp because Marshawn Lattimore, also coming off an outstanding rookie year, and Michael Thomas, they were fighting each other in training camp because Michael Thomas was coming to work every day. Lattimore was like, I'm going to work when I want to. And you see the difference. Lattimore got off to a slow start. So they've had some things there that has helped them develop this type of culture. I believe this is the perfect place for Des Bryant because he's got a young wide receiver in Michael Thomas who is potentially one of the best in the league. 1, 2, or 3 this year, he's going to be up there. And I think it's a great example. If Des wants to get his career back on the track, how can I play a role to be able to help these guys in whatever their goals are? Because Des's goals is finish the season with a winner, with a good report, not numbers. What do the Saints say about Des Bryant? That's going to determine, Jenna, how long the rest of his career. Does he have a tryout somewhere else? Or does he parlay that into, man, the Saints could sign him to a deal after this season?
I understand why the Saints, and to Jenna's question, why Saints fans would be apprehensive about this. It's what I said yesterday, that this is the hottest team in the league. They're coming off their best game of the year. You're now adding an X factor, no pun intended, to the locker room and to the offense that is the second best offense in football. So I understand the trepidation on their side. On Dez's side, if this works out, he gets to be right. Like Dez, when he got cut by Dallas, said, He did say he wants to play in the NFC East, but wants to play on a contender, play with a great quarterback. I'm taking my time. Turns down an offer from Baltimore. Looks foolish. Turns down an offer, gets an offer from Cleveland. We thought, hey, you got Baker Mayfield, you got Todd Haley. Like, what are you doing? No, he wanted more money. Looks foolish. If he ends up turning those two decisions into teaming up with right now, which is one of the 3 Super Bowl favorites in the whole league, the best quarterback he's ever played with, and actually making an impact with them, then he gets to, even if he kind of just backed into it, have made the right decisions over the last 6 months. Like, I don't know.
Or he got real lucky.
Wow, you're really making the right decision. The guy's been sitting out for 8 weeks. How much did he lose from the Baltimore deal? What were they offering him per year?
Right,
21
it was $7 million per year.
So
but
he lost $3.5 million. That's a great decision.
Well,
congratulations.
Right. Well, listen, Coach, I understand that's how it appears right now. The point that I'm making is he chose to turn that down, right? He made the decision for some reason, this is not the fit I want. Maybe he wasn't healthy yet. Maybe it was he thought that he deserved more money. But if this turns into, you're shaking your head, see?
There is no scenario, Nick, where he was right. There is no scenario where Dez Bryant, on one of the teams, with one of the marquee franchises, in being on the Dallas Cowboys, being all pro, last time we saw Dez was riding out of the Cowboys facility in a Bentley truck. Deuces, NFL report, oh man, there's 4 to 6 teams, man, that want Dez Bryant's services. Oh no, Dez, this was not no plan A. Oh, A. Oh, plan B. Oh, plan C. Oh, man, this is off the radar. And, man, this could end Dez Bryant's career. Because if you go to a great organization and you screw it up, you play with one of the all-time great quarterbacks, you know who you are next? Remember Ocho Cinco when he went to New England?
Absolutely.
Everyone said, oh, this is going to be a great match. How much football did he play after that?
Agreed. I know that the downside part of it, and maybe I shouldn't have said he could end up being right. Maybe I should have said this could end up working out for him in the regard of he is now, as you have been saying all morning, the best situation for a receiver of his skill set, with the best quarterback he's ever played with, the best coach he's ever played with, and on the best team he's ever been on.
Well, here's my biggest concern is there's so much shifting and motioning and multiple formations, and they do a lot of things weekly, personnel groups, all those things. Can he do it? That's my biggest question mark is can he move around like that? Can he learn the system?
And, Coach, that's where I'm depending on Curtis Johnson. I believe CJ is one of the best teachers in the NFL. I've had a bunch of my kids play for Curtis Johnson, so I know he is a very coach-friendly coach. I know he will spend...
coach.
Yeah, no, a coach-friendly coach, meaning he teaches in a way that it's friendly, it's teachable.
Okay.
It's coach-friendly to your ears, to your eyes, because... So, a lot of times coaches only teach one way. When a coach can teach a lot of different styles, he's more apt to be able to connect with the students. So when I say, man, it's coach-friendly, meaning, yes, it's pliable, it's adaptable, it's not rigid. Man, Coach Mangini, people thought, man, Coach Mangini, he can teach a lot of different personalities, a lot of different ways. That's how you're able to be successful as a coach.
But to me, that makes it even more important that he be successful, because if you've got a coach with that reputation who can teach to a lot of different styles, and you go in and can't get it, then around the league, it's like, yeah.
Quickly, though, if he turns out to be a non-factor, is this the last stop for Dez Bryant?
I mean, I think what these guys are saying in that regard is 100% correct. That if in this situation you're not productive, then every other team in the league is going to look around and say, our quarterback's not as good as Drew Brees. We don't have Sean Payton. Like, if he's not productive there in this situation, why would he be productive anywhere else? So to me, the risk is enormous, but the reward is potentially enormous as well. That's the point I was making on the front end. I think the knock on Dez set all the locker room and fiery personality stuff aside. The football knock on Dez was a lack of, it sounds impolite, football acumen, ability to process complex offenses and to run multiple routes. Those were the football knocks on Dez. How much he's able to process a totally new offense and a totally new system that is a complex one, that will determine a lot of his success, I'd imagine.
And a lot of that falls on your guy, Curtis, to get
Yeah, oh, no. CJ going to do his job.
All right, Coach, stick around. Coming up, Hugh Jackson is out in Cleveland, but he's got a lot of praise for Baker Mayfield, his former quarterback. Next up, First Things First.
I think I have seen Hugh Jackson do more interviews
After.
now than his whole